Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment of our program brought to you by Benedict Construction. bcknoxville.com is their website. When you talk about Benedict Construction, I want you to think of custom. They can custom remodel. They can custom build from the floor up. I've seen them do it, whether it's the television studio we call home or whether it's the homes that I've visited that they have remodeled and redone. From anything from a bathroom to a kitchen to an entirely new home. Benedict Construction. All right. We got Mark, Mike, Jimmy, and Isaiah back. Chuck's going to be in this segment as well. Want to go over to the big board here for a second. Tennessee knocked off Bruce Pearl. Again, Bruce Pearl, everybody expected him to. He's really going to take it to Tennessee when he's down at Auburn. Well, he's lost 3 out of 4, and he got drubbed the last 2 times he played Tennessee. What you see there, you also had Conzo Martin in the news this week with Cal out in the Pac-12 con. So look there. This is the last 4 years. All right. So Tennessee, and it's most recent at the top, going backwards. So you got Tennessee under Rick Barnes and Donnie Tyndall, the 16-16. Then the Conzo Martin years, 24 and 20 wins. Auburn, you'll notice. The Bruce Pearl most recent 2 years, the exact same SEC record, 9-27, that got Tony Barbee fired in his last 2 years at Auburn. And then you got Cal, where Conzo Martin has gone. There was a brief dip last year to replace Mike Montgomery and the guys he lost, but he loaded up with freshmen. Basically, I just want to know, in terms of these guys that all shifted and the schools that shifted, anything surprise you? What's the number one thing that stands out? Pearl's not kicking it down at Auburn?
To me. That's the number one to me. I realize he's had some real bad luck with personnel injuries and eligibility, things like that. But yeah, I thought he would do better than that. And the team you saw the last 2 times they played, particularly in Nashville, just didn't look like a good team.
Didn't look like they cared.
No.
17 double-digit losses. 17. Tennessee had 9, and 4 of theirs were in the last 2 weeks when Punter was out. So they had 5 going into the last 2 weeks. Auburn had 17 double-digit losses. And I saw where their Ken Pomeroy ranking, their computer ranking, 209 this year. You think, well, Auburn's always bad. That is the second worst over the last decade for Auburn. Mm-hmm. You worked with Bruce Pearl. You played for Bruce Pearl. That's got to be driving him nuts. He's not used to that.
It is. And the most frustrating thing and the most concerning thing is, yes, they have a great recruiting class in. They were battled with injuries, but the way that they looked in the SEC tournament, I mean, they just looked they looked disinterested. They didn't want to be there. There was the lack of effort, the cohesion, and that's more concerning as a program building.
Somebody put on Twitter, well, wait till he gets his guys in there, and a national writer fired back, I forget who it was, fired back and said the top 7 guys in minutes are all Bruce Pearl guys. So
he does have a top 20, top 25 kind of class coming in this year too, and the best player he signed last year wasn't eligible, so he's got some reinforcements.
And he also had a guy
coming.
that left mid-season. So we brought that up on this show. No offense, when you were over there coaching, that was the one issue I had when you guys were over there. There were a lot of guys that came in highly hyped, and they washed out of the program. I mean, I think that's, and you've already seen one guy who said, "Nah, I'm done with it." When he argued with a coach, got suspended. And he said, "Nah, I'm leaving." So that would be a concern. With his signing classes, not everybody makes it. And that's true everywhere, but there's a high percentage with Pearl. Chuck Cavaliers, why don't you step in? What stands out to you? I mean, you look at Tennessee, you look at Conzo Martin, 2 years. What stands out to you as surprising?
Well, other than what's been said, I tell you what, you let a pretty good coach leave in Conzo Martin, and look what he's doing at California. Not only did you let him leave, some people feel you practically ran him off. And I can't help but stand here and wonder where the Tennessee program would be today if you had rewarded him after that NCAA tournament run. So that's the other thing. This is the obvious thing, John, how Auburn has regressed. What happens to Bruce Pearl if they don't get it going?
Here's the thing. What has to be driving him mad is if he'd had any kind of year at all this year, with the year Pastner had at Memphis, he would have been at Memphis. And I had Auburn fans tweet me a year ago when I said that was going to happen. He would never leave Auburn. I got news for you. He would hit the bricks quick to get out, to leave Auburn for Memphis. Are you kidding me? You'd be crazy if you didn't. All right, Chuck, I want to ask you, while we're talking over here, I'm going to get you to flip some stuff around over there. Guys, Chuck mentioned Conzo Martin's done a good job there. I don't think most people nationally look at the Conzo Martin thing and think that was a bizarre setup. Look at me. You'll see that stuff in a second. Look at me, guys. Look down here. All right. When you talk about Tennessee, they do have, you lost Conzo Martin. You had to go through the Donnie Tyndall thing. Now you got Rick Barnes. So my question is, it might have been better under Conzo Martin, but are you better and more do you have a better fit now with Barnes moving forward than you would have with Conzo Martin? Isaiah Victor, your thoughts? I know you like Rick Barnes a lot. Tennessee in a good position now, despite the record. Do you feel they're going in the right direction with Barnes?
I definitely feel like that, but I like Conzo Martin also, so I think we would have did good with him also. But I mean, Rick Barnes, I can't say enough about him, so I think he'll get us where we want to be.
Guys,
He's definitely a better fit, no question. And also that class that he signed, when the 5 that he brought in, or that he assigned that's coming in, it wasn't rated all that highly when he signed them. But it seems like every one of those guys had a good year. That class is now much more thought of, more highly thought of now than it was when he signed them, because almost every one of them had a better year than anticipated.
and you throw in Lamonte Turner
Correct.
for next year. It's going to be a big get. I'm going to finish with you. Give me 1 second. Chuck, let's go over here. Chuck standing over. You did a good job as Vanna White. This is interesting. 4 guys that have been or would be at Tennessee right now, if not for a change. Larry Austin, Xavier, he's a bench guy. He'll be in the NCAA tournament. Quentin Chivas, going to be in the NCAA tournament with Hampton. Then you've got Darius Thompson, local product. He's going to be in the NCAA tournament with a really good Virginia team. Wes Washburn hit a shot to get Northern Iowa into the NCAA tournament. And I put Jalen Brown of Cal there, kid from Marietta, Georgia, Mark Pancratz. You feel that, Conzo got him to Cal. He had the relationship with him. You feel that if Conzo were here, Jalen Brown would have probably come to Tennessee?
Oh, he was coming on campus when he was really young in the recruiting game. There's coaches, just like he got with Hubbs. Hubbs was a 5-yard guy. He's great at building those relationships, so I think he would have stayed even closer to home and come here instead of Cal.
I think all 3 of those guys, it'll work out in the end for Martin, it'll work out in the end for Pearl, it'll work out in the end for Barnes.
2 of those guys would not be at Tennessee because the only reason they redshirted, and that's why they're still playing at their schools.
Well, Chivas and Washburn have already
Right.
taken
Right.
off. I phrased that poorly. Thank you. All I'm getting at is Vol fans, if you're looking for VFLs, or I guess they were Vol for a short time,
Yeah.
VFSTs, there they are. Chuck, very quickly.
What's the one name we haven't really mentioned? Donnie Tyndall. And if you hadn't totally messed up that hire, you wouldn't have the coach you have now. But boy, what a mistake that was.
Yeah, and it's just because of his history, it was a bad choice. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk Team 120 and their slogan. Then we've got some Peyton Manning. We got another Butchism, or is the slogan pretty good? So Peyton Manning coming up, Butchism next. Come on back.